Hey there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, the Women's Broadcast TV Network, ITube 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, and WomenOnTV.tv. And I've been wanting to put this show together for a long time. It's about strong, beautiful, powerful women and what they bring to the table, about interviewing celebrities, how we all got along, as they would say, junketeers back in the day. But I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves, starting with San Antonio, Texas. Mary, give us who you are, what you're doing right now.
Hi, I'm Mary Brown, and I'm actually in Amarillo, Texas today, but I do all kinds of things, but I actually work full-time as a tarot reader right now, but I used to be a junketeer.
And Gayl Murphy.
I was not a junketeer. I was a journalist invited by the studios to interview their talent for upcoming projects. I don't join clubs. I never do. I don't have the t-shirt. I don't want the ears, but I admire and respect and support anybody that does. But I would never be a member of a club that would have me for a member anyway. So there you go. My name is Gayl Murphy. I call myself the Celebritizer. I'm a Hollywood correspondent, a author, a speaker. I wrote a book called Interview Tactics, How to Survive the Media Without Getting Clobbered. I don't know if you can hear it, but my garbage man is here right now. I'm sorry. I think he's trying to squiggle on. Anyway, I can see him. It's ridiculous. I wrote a book called Interview Tactics, How to Survive the Media Without Getting Clobbered. I teach, I coach, and I teach how to use media in your business after having done close to about 16,000 celebrity interviews in my career. So that's where I am right now. And I'm actually coaching people online, which I never thought I'd do. But actually, this medium is, if you bring yourself to it, which a lot of people aren't doing it, this is, it's a good substitute.
It actually is. And you were right. I wouldn't join any club that I wouldn't form either, because one, they definitely wouldn't have me. And they didn't want to have me. But you know what? We're doing what we have, and a lot of people aren't here, and that's not my problem, because it's not like we didn't warn them, or they didn't see the changes coming. Right, Mary? Talk about your time. You were with Jeannie Wolf doing all those interviews. You know, Gayl at that point was ABC radio and then graduating to BBC. So here we are surviving in a whole different medium in a different way, but we're still here.
Yeah. You know, I love that you graduated from ABC to BBC. Isn't that funny? I mean, don't we think of it that way sometimes, you know, too?
Well, what she did, though, because she saw what was coming on her end.
She's been, you know, I've been following Miss Gayl's career since I moved to Texas, and I have to tell you, she is skyrocketing. Amazing.
Here's the secret. Here's the secret. Always have clients that are really far away. They appreciate you more. I mean, I started in local radio. They were breathing down my neck. And then I went to work for the network, ABC, out of New York. It was better, but I could smell their breath. The BBC Now and Sky. Hello, we're so glad to have you. So that's really the key to success.
You know, yesterday, Gayl and I and Mike Szymanski, Mary, we were talking about, you know, interviews and movies and things like that, because now it's a new day. Unless, I guess, you have the numbers, I know I'll be okay. But unless you're doing what we're doing and creating a different way and surviving and outlasting these people, not going to be around. You may not even be around with your life, and that's very, very sad. When you know, Mary, when you were thinking back, what was the last interview you can remember that you did before you left California? Because you left, you were done at that point.
I left. I did leave. Let's see. The last interview I did, boy, you know, there was a time, you know, I don't know if you understand, Amarillo is a city of 190,000 people. Los Angeles has, I don't know, millions.
Yeah, about 12 million, yeah.
About 12 million, right? So, I mean, things got small, they shrunk down, as far as, my external world. But, I don't remember. There was a time, like the first 3 years since that I was out here, I think I could have answered that question like that. Oh, the last interview I did was blah, blah, blah. The last thing that I did was I didn't leave until after. I promised I wouldn't leave until after the Oscars, in what was it, February, March 2012.
March
And
is March.
right. How sometimes is at the end of February. I can't remember which year which it was in 2012. But and since then, my life has changed a lot. Now, so I feel kind of, disconnected from what's happening in the media, except that I work on the, very small demographic. It's, we're still talking millions of people, but it's still a small demographic of the metaphysical media. So I do a weekly show, and I have my own monthly show on a network, Psychic Talk Network, on Blog Talk Radio. And so our numbers are really different, compared to the kind of numbers that you guys are, talking about and thinking about when it comes to the media. And, so it's much more like, I don't know, it's on the micro level, and it's also about connection. And there's something for me that is just more, sticks with me more. So I could tell you the last person I interviewed, on my radio show, but it was James Rickliff, who's a master tarot teacher and writer, and reader. But I have no idea the last interview I did.
Do you remember the last, can I amend Brian's question a little bit? I'd like to piggyback on what Brian just said.
Like it did in the old days.
And that brings back memories for you, yes. What is the last one you remember?
Yeah, the last one I remember is Billy Bob Thornton. And I didn't do that for Jeannie. I did that for military.com, as I was writing a column in military.com about the intersection between the military and Hollywood. Because at that time, that's when all the new war movies were coming out, the movies about Afghanistan and stuff. And, I started that column because I just felt like, hey, Oliver North has a column on military.com. I could have a column on military.com. And darn if I wasn't right. I couldn't believe it. I pitched it to them, and they went for it. I'm like, whoa, really? How long can this last? Like, how many movies are actually going to be about that intersection? So it lasted about a year, which was longer than I expected. But for that, I interviewed Billy Bob Thornton because he had just released an album with his band, the Boxmasters, and was doing a tour where he was going to play like 20 different military bases,
What a great story.
He wanted the press for it. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. And I did the interview at his house. His house used to be owned by Slash, I believe.
Yeah.
Went down in the basement, saw the little kids, saw the woman, wife, girlfriend, woman. I can't remember what that was at the time, or if she's still around, sorry. But we did the interview in his basement, right? And and he told me, and that was his studio. And the guitars, the gorgeous guitars. And we sat at the mixing board, and he said, this is where Warren Zevon recorded his last music, and this is the same place where Jewel recorded her demo. And so I was like, whoa, that's amazing. And we had this great interview. It was supposed to be like a 20-minute interview. I was there for 2 hours.
Love that.
And we were and gosh darn it, you guys, you want to hear something crazy?
The crazier, the better.
Crazy. Okay. So half an hour before, I was scheduled to go over there. And it was like, a small story, not a big deal, right? but TMZ breaks a story about Billy Bob Thornton's son, I don't know, mixing it up with a teacher, something inappropriate possibly going on, that kind of story. And that hit the wire 30 minutes before I was scheduled to go over to his house. And I was like, okay, you know, publicist is going to call and cancel, right? That's going to happen at any minute. The publicist is going to call and cancel. And that phone call never came. And I thought, whoa, okay, this should be interesting. And I go over there. I'm sitting in the, you know, foyer, I guess, the little, you know, just living room. And the living room had these two life-size stuffed horses, right? And
Okay.
I learned later that, you know, Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton used to have, you know, movie night and with friends or whatever, and people would like sit on the horse watching the movies, like Westerns and stuff, right? And the thing that really got me about the whole thing was while we were having the interview, and I was there for a couple hours, you know, he got calls from, he didn't have to tell me, right? He didn't have to tell me that he was a little bit, you know, shaken by what was going on. You know, who wouldn't be shaken by you hear bad news about your kid, like blasted everywhere? You'd be freaked out, you know? He took a few calls and, you know, it was with his son, with, you know, somebody connected. I didn't hear the other side, but, you know, we had these just moments, you know, where it's like, I'm not even asking, you know, it's like your thing. I've got a son too, and who knows what the heck he's going to do. You know, that's just how I felt about it. Right. And, you know, and he said to me, he said, you know, everybody thinks, you know, if you're a celebrity or you got, you know, you become famous, you really got it made. And, you know, I'm telling you, you don't ever got it made. And so that's the one that I remember, you know, out of all of them.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to say something because Billy Bob Thornton's publicist was Arnold Robertson, who we all know from Rogers and Cowards. But also going back to what Gayl said, you got to tell it to sell it. So going back to Gayl's book, Gayl, your book.
Yes.
Let me rephrase the question a different way. This is what you teach, don't you?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Whether you're being interviewed or whether you're interviewing, the biggest skill that you can cultivate for yourself personally is how to listen. How to listen. Because if you listen and it's not there, you can hear that it's not there, and you can bridge it, and because you're still in that space, you can bridge it so that you come up with quote things like what I said is, I'd like to piggyback on what you said. Or
we used to always say those things.
Moving along with what
tables.
Brian was just saying, I want to add a little bit to that kind of stuff. It's just bridging.
And that's what made our roundtables fun. And we were always in the same room because we liked each other.
Well, it took a long time.
Oh,
that's okay.
But the best part,
I'm not for everybody.
Yeah.
But Gayl, there's also that other thing, right? It's not the bridge, but I'm going to take a left turn here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, what I do, see, you know what that is? That's called asking permission.
Yeah, beautiful.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to take a right turn over here. I'm not waiting for you to answer because I'm doing it anyway. I've already turned my wheel. Instead of saying, I'll be taking a left turn over here, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a little bit of a right turn or a left turn over here and then jump into it. Thank you so much for remembering that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you think of, I mean, you've done
I
what?
always wanted to say, I'm going to dive off the cliff, you know?
Who said that?
Me.
You know, it's interesting you should mention Warren because I knew him for many years. And I also, the last time I saw him was when he was sick, and he always loved my grilled cheese sandwiches.
Oh.
So I made him a grilled cheese sandwich. And he wanted me to bring a copy of my book. So I brought a copy of my book and he signed it. And he was telling me about the album. He played it for me and he told me that he had made it at Billy Bob's studio and it used to belong to Slash. Or no, I think it was still Slash's then. I'm not sure, but I had heard. It could be that I heard it was Slash's, and then later on I heard Billy Bob had bought his house, and part of the purchase included this. I also knew Slash's mother.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or
That's so
not.
cool.
A friend of mine and her girlfriend, they were pals in San Francisco way, way, way back in the day. Her friend, I can't remember Slash's mom's name for anything, but she has passed away, but she was Slash's mother. And I actually met her at a yard sale she had at her house. There you go.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was funny. It was funny. I met her at a yard sale at her house, and my friend did not introduce me to her. We got to talking. We hit it off like a house on fire. We got to talking, and suddenly the voice in my head said, I think her name is Ona. Was Ona. That's what I'm getting. But anyway, they said that she was her. And I said, do you know my friend Jonathan Exley? And she looked at me and went, all right, who are you? What's going on here? I said, well, I've known X since, Moses was a baby. And she's like, oh. And then I heard she had passed away. When I say shortly, maybe 2 years or a year after that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gayl and Mary, talk about how important.
Oh, and one more thing. When I interviewed Slash, I told him I met his mother, which was even funnier. So anyway, sorry. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Talk about how important it is to establish those relationships with publicists.
Mm.
Oh, I think Mary was much better at it than I am.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think that's what it is. That, we say it a lot about Hollywood. I think it's true, anywhere you go. I know it's even true in a small town that, relationships matter,
Yeah.
they do. And, it's also a careful balance, right?
Yeah.
And I think empathy is important, because I think sometimes we could feel in working, the way that we did, we could feel like, all of your time is taken. You have to go to screenings, you have to do the interviews, you've got to eat at some point, you've got to live your life a little bit in there somewhere. And so, we want things from publicists, we want the interviews, we want the people, and they want the coverage. And so it's that careful balance. And you have to make sure that, it's properly balanced and it's not, not balanced. Imbalanced. Whoa. Yes, let me just, be eloquent.
Yeah.
But, there were a lot of them, that I felt like I did develop relationships with. And I think that you also find that there's a lot of them that are just like, corporate zone, and they're not about that. You're just a number. They want to know your numbers, and you want to know, that you're not wasting your time, right?
Well,
So,
a lot of them see it as the enemy, and but see, that's part of their skill set when they walk inside that door.
yeah.
And whether you can change it or not is really not up to you. But what is up to you is to be able to recognize what that looks like, so that it gives you the opportunity to create a bridge between you and them, so that you can still communicate with them without having to sell your soul.
Well, exactly. And I kind of feel like, who knows, when we're taking stock of ourselves, but I kind of feel like I was pretty open in my approach to everything. When it came to dealing with publicists or that kind of stuff, I think I tried to just foster a sort of an idea of like some level of mutual respect. They have a job to do, I have a job to do. Our job is actually interacting with one another in some way. So why make it a hassle for anybody?
Well, yeah, yeah. Brian, when you talk about people like Lori Lusarian, Arnold, and Stan, they, it's a false world, because these are people that are in business and they don't bullshit you, and they tell you what it is, and they can tell you what you can do, what they can do and what they can't do. If they can include you, they won't, and you get it, but you'll do something the next time. They spoil us.
Yeah.
When you get these super professional people, but I think that's systemic of the corporate world as it is, and also it's a life lesson. Some people don't learn that till later on, and some people learn it, use it as a weapon, and are very happy with it. And what their relationship with themselves is, I don't really care about knowing.
Well, here's what I learned, because you two had the bigger outlets. I was always the small, tiny guy who had to fight to get in. So I knew early on, I was always going by energy, which is why I sat next to them. I wanted them to know who I was, because I really did care about their film, book, or CD, or whatever the case it was, whether I liked it or not. I wanted to stay, Gayl would say, you got to tell it to sell it. I wanted to know that I could do it. You could be the small, tiny guy. All I knew is when I was going to outlast you and out-survive you. That was my whole motivation. So when I dealt with a personal publicist, I had better relationship with them because they understood. Then a studio publicist, someone like Susan, whatever, who used to be at this studio, when they call you, because remember in the old days, they would call you on the phone and say, hey, would you like to come see the screening and interview at the Four Seasons? When I'm this person say, oh, I didn't get the invite, but I know my friends are in, I'd like to promote the film. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't invite you because you're not a black outlet. And I've got the phone in my hand like this, and I'm looking at my hand, and I'm like thinking to myself, well, I'm still black. I'm still want to see the film, and I'm still going to promote it. That taught me everything. It taught me not to be labeled as one thing, which is why Movie Reviews and More was always going to be the more important. Here we are today, 4.5 million. We went up another 5,000. 5,000 views again overnight. That's what I learned from that. Everybody froze. Is everybody still there? Oh.
I remember trying to movie. Are you there?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember trying to get coverage for Eddie Murphy movie or Ice Cube movie or something, and it's like, I'm sorry, this junket is just for urban. And I'm like, and it's like,
well,
how do you argue with stupid? Urban. Yeah.
So how's that one?
I know.
I wasn't even urban. Till this day, I refused to cover the Image, NAACP. I said, you know what? You're going to label me, and I'm not going to label me, then I'm not going to give you a reason to label me. That's why I rebelled.
Oh, I let them label me. I want as many labels as I can possibly have. I'm a shapeshifter. I'm like that guy that sells watches, who opens up his coat and says, okay, you want to buy a watch? You want a wristwatch? Women's, kids? I don't care. Whoever I need to be for you so that I can get what I want to get, I'm more than happy, because I don't want to stay in this space and be aggravated. I have a job to do, and it's bigger than you, and I need to jump over you. So.
And you would literally say that too.
Pretty much. Just tell, I would say, tell me what it is I have to do to get this.
Right.
Well, tell me what do you need? What do you need? Which is probably the reason which is exactly the reason why I never joined TCA. So there you go.
And Mary, I remember my favorite time, and it still sticks in my head, is it's 2005. That was the ABC day at TCA. That was also, we were covering Lost. We all went to the Universal lot for Lost, Desperate Housewives. Remember that, Mary?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's right. Something fruity. Do you remember
yes.
something
We
fruity
went to
cocktail?
everybody's house and had our individual drinks, whatever everybody shared at the houses. And I never forgot that because I always felt we connected from there. And then that's what I learned at that point. Oh, I can put on gatherings like this. This is how they would do it. That's what I started to figure out a lot.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And an idea was born.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hatched right
Absolutely.
then and there.
But here's the thing, that's where my champagne came out of. Gail, remember I gave you bottles of champagne? I think, Mary, I gave you one too. That's where it
Yeah.
came out. I wanted to figure out how to do those things. Mary's like, no. Yeah, I
Yep.
gave you.
Here's my champagne.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was interesting. So Mary, now that you're in Texas, how are you adapting with everything now, with your readings and everything? Because you're really busy.
Mm. I am really busy. I think that's, and I think this is true for a lot of people. It's funny. You have some industries that are totally shut down, and then you have a lot of us that were working online anyways before this ever started. That it really wasn't, much of an adjustment at all. But what you find is that, regardless of how busy, because all this is going on, you also have to take time for yourself. You also have to do some self-care, however you do it, whatever it is that, helps you to disconnect from it all and kind of relax, and then, be busy the other 5, days a week, or whatever. But I think that it's like, yeah, busy is good, right? And any business, busy is great. And I think in, doing readings for people, especially, a lot of times right now, I think a big part of it is about connection. This is not easy for a lot of people, and they just want to reach out. No, and I find it especially with, like, some of my, clients that I've had for years, that will, just reach out, just for like a short reading or whatever, but just to like connect and know that that is still there, the things that they used to do. And I feel like that's why also a reason that I'm really busy as a reader is because people are connecting to old flames, old boyfriends, old friends, old high school chums, whatever, they'll call a reader and be like, boy, what was that really about? Why did they reach out after 20 years, So there's a lot of that going on that's keeping us busy.
And we got about 5 minutes. Gail, talk about, again, going back to your book, it's about connecting. It's about energy. It's about knowing kind of what to ask. And as of yesterday, we were talking about simply not being able to hug your friend. And when can we hug your friend? Really,
Well, you can't, it really doesn't matter whether you can hug somebody or not. When it comes to telling your story, it's showtime. And one of the things that you gain as you do the process of celebritizing or mediaizing yourself is you learn what athletes do all the time. You create this space or the dome or whatever. So let's take a quick left turn over here or a right turn over there, and let's go to the World Series. And it's the 7th game, and it's the 9th inning, and the batter comes up, and people are apoplectic. They are screaming. It is so loud, it's ridiculous. And this hitter walks up to the home plate as if it's just another Tuesday afternoon. He doesn't even hear them because he's in the zone.
Yeah.
And that's something that he has, part of his training that is extremely important, that at the end of the day, you have, 40 million eyeballs watching you, but the only 2 sets of eyeballs that matter is yours and the pitcher, is his and the pitcher. And that's all that's really going on right there. Everything else, it doesn't mean anything. It's just what's going on between these 2 people. Now that's on a grand scale. But that's an awesome skill set because you use that anytime, any place, anywhere, whether you're talking to one person, whether you're talking to 20 people, 100 people, 1,000,000 people. That is, it's, you know, I always say if you can't tell it to one, you can't tell it to 1,000,000. So what it does is it enables you to take your office with you wherever you go. It's a safe space. You own it. All the furniture is yours, if you know what I mean. I call it showtime. And so what happens in showtime is you get in the zone, your energy is there, you're 100% present because you bring 100% of yourself to it, and you get the job done. So if it's too hard, maybe you need to do something else.
Absolutely. Hey, Mary, have you been watching anything? And give your website, social media links for everybody.
Yes. So you can. One thing I want to mention is it would be great if you checked out my YouTube channel, Tarodactyl, TAROTDACTYL. I'm Tarodactyl on YouTube. And at the end of the month, at the end of May, I'm going to be participating in something. It's a big secret, but it's going to be a lot of fun if anybody's into tarot cards or wants to learn how to read them or hear from readers all over the world. That's something I'll be announcing on my channel towards the end of May. And you want to, watch that because it's going to be kind of fun. And then also, I do a radio show on Blog Talk Radio, on the Psychic Talk Radio Network every Saturday, except for this Saturday, we're on hiatus. But it's called the Tarot Today Show. And once a month, I do a show called There's a Rock for That. It's all about crystals. If you're into crystals, that's the first Saturday of every month. You can find me on psychictalk.net. That's our website.
And
Oh, she's so busy, Brian.
I know.
Wow. What a
But so
media
aren't you.
darling. Yeah. No, she's really busy. She's got so much going on.
I know, it's crazy.
Because she's got these radio shows, but she's got these clients consistently. So she's always working it. This is great.
I'm
This is
having
great.
fun.
Yeah.
Going with the flow.
Yeah.
And Gayl, where can they reach your book and your social media links on you?
I am only selling the ebook now. I'm not doing the book anymore because of this whole situation. I don't have any books left. But I have the ebook. It's super easy. It's like $20, and you'll have it like that. You won't have to wait or deal with a third party or anything. So you can get in touch with me if you so desire at either interviewtactics.com or gaylmurphy.com. And it's GAYLMURPHY. No E in Gayl. At gaylmurphy.com. And drop by and say hi on Facebook, which is Gayl Murphy, or LinkedIn. Oh, that's also Gayl Murphy. Oh, Twitter, Gayl Murphy also. GAYLMURPHY.
All right, I'm going to thank everybody for that. It's always a pleasure and honor to be on with strong women. One from Texas, Mary Brown. The other one from Los Angeles, Gayl Murphy. And I'm Brian.
Thank you.
Movie Reviews and More.
Thanks, Brian.
Wide TV Network, WomenOnTV.tv, and iTunes 247 out of Tennessee. And we will see you next week.